In the early 1970s, Grand Slam Club founder Bob Householder began keeping track of those who had taken all the trophy types recognized at the time by the Boone and Crockett Club. Bob himself was one of the first people to achieve that accomplishment. His foresight into this amazing lifetime achievement was the forerunner for what is today part of GSCO's family of slams as the Super Slam of North American Big Game. We'll recognize the Rifle Super Slammers first in numerical order, then move on to the Archery Super Slammers. Join with us now as we honor these accomplished big game hunters. Super Slam number 149 was assigned to Tim Salisbury of Michigan after he documented the Quebec Labrador caribou that he took in September 2017 before hunting for that species was discontinued. In 2015, Tim traveled up to Nunavut to get his polar bear. He took a bison on a hunt in South Dakota back in December 2012. Next up, we see Tim's Alaska Yukon moose from the Yukon taken in August 2012. And the last trophy we'll show you is an American mountain goat from British Columbia taken back in 2011. Next up, we call Wisconsin's James Ziemer to the stage for achieving Super Slam number 224. And we'll begin with his Great Rocky Mountain elk taken in Colorado back in 2009. Next, we have the Alaska brown bear James got in April 2012. Moving along to 2016, we see the Great Alaska Yukon moose that James took on another hunt in Alaska. One of his more recent trophies was a woodland caribou from Newfoundland, taken in October 2021, and James finished his slam with a Central Canadian barren ground caribou in Nunavut in September 2023. Perry Smith of Kansas earned Super Slam number 236 after a successful hunt in the Yukon when he got an Alaska Yukon moose in September 2023. On a trip to Nunavut that same year, Perry was able to take his polar bear. Backing up to November 2019, we find Perry in Oregon, where he scored on his Roosevelt elk. Moving along, in September 2017, he added the Central Canadian barren ground caribou to his Super Slam list, and we'll finish up with Perry's Canada moose taken back in October 2008 on the hunt in British Columbia. We're pleased to call Sumner Reggie Cullum of Arkansas to the stage for achieving Super Slammer number 238. Reggie finished his milestone in January 2024 with a wolf in Canada. Some of his earlier trophies date back to the 1970s, the first being his Alaska Yukon moose taken in 1976. Reggie also scored on a nice barren ground caribou that same year. In 2012, Reggie traveled to Mexico to get his Desert Bighorn, and will finish up his presentation by showing you Reggie's Canada moose that he took in 2021. Super Slam number 240 has been assigned to Brandon Raystead of Colorado. One of Brandon's earlier trophies was his American mountain goat, taken on a hunt in British Columbia back in 2015. The following year, Brandon scored on a nice bison in his home state of Colorado. His Quebec Labrador caribou came in September 2017, and in 2019, Brandon took his Rocky Mountain elk, also in his home state. He finished his Super Slam milestone in May 2024 with a fine Alaska brown bear. We'd now like to recognize Super Slammer number 243, Sean Whipple of Ohio. We'll begin with his Columbia black-tailed deer, taken in California in September 2015. Just a few months later, in April 2016, Sean traveled to Nunavut to get his polar bear. In August 2018, while hunting in the Yukon, Sean was able to take a mountain caribou. And 5 years later, he traveled to Kodiak Island, Alaska to collect his American mountain goat. Sean completed his Super Slam and Grand Slam simultaneously in September 2024 with a Rocky Mountain Bighorn from Alberta. Well, next up, we call John Pinch of Oregon to the stage for Super Slam recognition. John earned Super Slam number 244 with the barren ground caribou that he took in August 2024 on a hunt in Alaska. We'll back up to October 2022 and show you John's Canada moose taken in British Columbia. 1 month earlier, while in Alaska, John scored on his grizzly bear. He was hunting in Alberta back in November 2021 to get his Shiras moose, and finally, we'd like to show you the mule deer John got way back in November 2013 on a hunt in Colorado. Super Slam number 245 has been assigned to Justin Falatock of South Carolina. One of the earliest trophies for Justin was his Rocky Mountain elk taken in September 2005 on a hunt in New Mexico. Moving forward to 2018, Justin took his stone sheep on a hunt in British Columbia. 2024 was a very busy year for Justin as he took several fine trophies towards his eventual Super Slam milestone, including a barren ground caribou in Alaska, a muskox in Nunavut, and a grizzly bear in Alaska. We're pleased to recognize North Dakota's Hal Crawford for achieving Super Slam number 246 with Alaska Yukon Moose in September 2024. In 1998, Hal took his stone sheep-on hunt in British Columbia, and he connected on an impressive non-typical mule deer in his home state of North Dakota back in November 2003. Well, moving closer to the present, Hal got a Rocky Mountain elk in Arizona in 2014, and will finish with Hal's polar bear taken in April 2023 while on a hunt in Nunavut. Bryce Olson of Texas achieved Super Slam number 248 with a Canada Moose from British Columbia in September 2024. You'll notice that Bryce hunts primarily with a recurve bow, which is quite an impressive feat. We'll back up in his quest for Super Slam to show you the antelope that he took in Colorado in September 2008. Next, you see the bison that he took in October 2010 in British Columbia. Bryce hunted in BC again in 2016, this time for an American mountain goat. And finally, you see Bryce with his California bighorn, also taken in BC in October 2023. Super Slam number 249 belongs to Mike Opitz of Washington. One of Mike's earliest trophies was a grizzly bear he took in the Yukon in September 2015. 2 years later, Mike traveled to Newfoundland and found success on a woodland caribou. In August 2021, while on a hunt in Montana, Mike took his bison, and he was able to collect a desert mule deer in January 2023 on a hunt in Sonora, Mexico. Finally, we'll show you his fine Texas whitetail, taken in October 2024 to round out Mike's Super Slam presentation. Super Slam number 250 belongs to Louis Polish Jr. of Nevada. One of his early trophies was a Rocky Mountain elk, taken in Utah in 2007. His mountain caribou was taken in the Northwest Territories in August 2011, and he was back in NWT in September 2013, where he was successful in taking an Alaska Yukon moose. More recently, in 2019, Louis hunted in Alaska, where he connected on an American mountain goat, and he finished his Super Slam in October 2024 with a woodland caribou from Newfoundland. Next, we call John Ed Steppen of Texas to the stage for his Super Slam presentation. John became Super Slammer number 251 when he documented a Canada Moose, which he took in October 2024. He scored on a Rocky Mountain elk in October 2022 while hunting in Utah, and in 2020, John took his Columbia blacktail while hunting in Oregon. Back in May 2012, he took the Alaska brown bear that you see right here. And finally, we'd like to show you one of his earliest trophies, a mountain caribou taken in the Yukon in October 2006. Super Slam number 252 was assigned to Hal Martin of Idaho. Hal began his Super Slam quest back in the 1990s. But first, we'd like to show you his Alaska Yukon moose he got back in September 2002. Moving along, in October 2005, Hal took a Rocky Mountain elk in his home state of Idaho. And then in August 2009, he traveled back to Alaska and found success hunting grizzly bear. Hal traveled to Greenland in September 2014 to get his muskox, and we'll finish up by showing you Hal's woodland caribou from Newfoundland, taken in September 2024. Larry Higgins of Michigan achieved Super Slam number 253 in September 2024 with a polar bear from Nunavut. This bear also earned Larry induction into the Pantheon, which he was recognized for last night during the SCI banquet. You've been seeing some of Larry's trophies that helped him achieve the Super Slam, including his Thule elk from California and Sitka blacktail deer from Alaska, both taken in 1998. The following year, Larry hunted Canada Moose in British Columbia and took a fine bull there. And we'll finish up by showing you Larry's California bighorn, taken in September 2004 on another hunt in BC. Super Slam number 254 belongs to Tom Niederer of Michigan. He achieved that milestone in November 2024 with a Shiras moose from southern Alberta. Tom traveled to Nunavut in October 2012 to get his muskox, and in January 2021, he hunted in Sonora, Mexico for his impressive Coues deer. Tom went back to Nunavut in May 2024 for his polar bear, and we'll finish up by showing you Tom's Thule elk from California, taken in October 2024. Dan Cluth of Idaho is Super Slammer number 255, and like so many others, a white-tailed deer was one of Dan's earliest entries on the Super Slam list. In 2016, Dan connected on a Quebec Labrador caribou in Quebec when those were still huntable. It took a unique Columbia black-tailed deer in California in October 2018, and the following year Dan added a Rocky Mountain bighorn from Wyoming to his total. Lastly, you see Dan with his Alaska brown bear taken in June 2022. Super Slam number 256 was assigned to Mike Marinelli of Georgia, and we'll begin with one of his earliest trophies, an Alaska brown bear, taken back in September 1996. Mike hunted in California in September 2001 to get his Columbia blacktail, and in 2003 he was back in California, only this time for a Tule elk. We'll skip 20 years and arrive in September 2023, when Mike achieved his Grand Slam with a Rocky Mountain bighorn. Mike reached number 29 on the Super Slam list in September 2024 with the Alaska Yukon Moose that you see here. Well, we have a unique situation with Alan McGraw of Texas. Alan has both Super Slam number 257 and an Archery Super 25, as 4 of his North American trophies were taken with a rifle, but the rest with a bow. You've been seeing some of both on the screen, including his American Mountain Goat from BC in 2012, his Fannin Ram from NWT 2015, and a Mountain Caribou, also from NWT, in 2017. For Alan's final 2, you see his June 2021 Grizzly Bear from Alaska, and number 29 on his list, an Alaska Yukon Moose from Alaska, taken in September 2024. Super Slam number 258 was issued to Robert Cirone Jr. of New Jersey. In December 1988, Robert was successful in taking both a mountain lion and a bison while hunting in Montana. Moving closer to the present, you see Robert with his polar bear from Nunavut in February 2022. Robert was very busy during 23 and 24, finishing his Super Slam milestone. His Tule elk from California came in October 2024, and the following month he achieved his Super Slam with a Columbia black-tailed deer. That completes our Firearm Super Slam awards, but hold tight, we still have the Archery Super Slammers to recognize. Our Archery Super Slam awards are presented each year by our sponsor, Mathews. We separate Archery Super Slams from firearms and recognize these accomplished bow hunters separately. Super Slam number 239 and Archery Super Slam number 46 belong to Vance McCullers of Florida, which chose 5 of his impressive trophies to highlight his milestones, beginning with the great Coues deer that he harried on a hunt in Sonora, Mexico, back in January 2013. In June 2015, Vance traveled to Alaska and found success on a fine grizzly bear. His Tule elk came in August 2017 in California, and later that same year, Vance arrowed his Shiras Moose in Utah. Vance finished his Archery Super Slam in August 2022 with American Mountain Goat from British Columbia. It was a Mountain Caribou taken in September 2024 that earned Dan Evenson of Wisconsin Super Slam number 242 and Archery Super Slam number 47. Backing up, Dan traveled to California in August 2020 to get his Columbia blacktail, and he arrowed an impressive Alaska Yukon Moose in September 2021 on a hunt in Alaska. In December 2021, Dan made his way down to Sonora, Mexico, where he connected on an impressive mule deer, and in November 2022, he hunted Rocky Mountain bighorn in Alberta and arrowed a fine ram there. It was a desert bighorn taken in Sonora, Mexico that earned Michael Coppins of Wisconsin his Archery Grand Slam, Super Slam number 259, and Archery Super Slam number 49. He arrowed that ram in November 2024. Michael's grizzly bear from Alaska came in August 2018, and in September 2021, he arrowed a Roosevelt elk in Oregon. Next up, we have Michael's Columbia black-tailed deer, taken in August 2022, and finally, his impressive woodland caribou from Newfoundland, which he got in October 2022. That concludes all of our Super Slam awards for this year. Let's give this amazing group of big game hunters and conservationists one more big round of applause.